Did you know that humans produce over 300 million tons of plastic annually, which are discarded minutes after use? And of course, as expected, waste management systems are not able to handle these volumes. Every piece of plastic ever made is still on the planet in some form or the other. And I don't know if, I just got to know that it takes 600 years for plastic to decompose. And the biggest problem is microplastics. They vary in size and are ingested all the way down the seafood chain, which finally ends up as, a fish on your plate, in a fish on your plate. And the only solution for us is to become conscious and to reduce our own plastic consumption. Good evening, I'm Sharmila Vasudevan, and welcome to the third episode of the TorchLight series from Nature's Orbit. Before we go ahead, I would like to talk to you a little bit about Nature's Orbit and about the series as well. For several years, we all have known that the environment has been facing a lot of critical issues like the climate crisis, deforestation, global warming, polluted oceans, the works. And this has taken a tremendous toll on the earth, on, every place. I think there is no place on earth that has been spared. And so we at Nature's Orbit, the team, have come together to work towards a clean, green, and sustainable world through responsible consumption, production, and development. And we also aim to educate and create awareness amongst the masses on sustainable living, which truly is the need of the hour. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has very clearly shown us that now is the time to take corrective action if we want a better tomorrow. I mean, actually, we should have taken it a long time ago, but the pandemic has really, thrown it up at our faces. And so in this series, we are in conversation with those heroes who have been working diligently to serve the planet, to make a difference in their own unique and innovative ways. Let me just let my our guest for today enter. Just 1 minute. Welcome, Shirshendu.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, welcome. So I was just, giving a brief on Nature's Orbit and the TorchLight series. And in today's episode, it is our absolute pleasure to have you with us. Please meet Mr. Shirshendu Sekhar Das from Guwahati, Assam. And Shirshendu, thank you very much for taking time out. I know you have a very busy schedule, and still you've agreed to speak with us. And thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Not at all. So now I just want to share a few words about Shirshendu. So Shirshendu completed his master's in physics in 2015. And he was doing project work in astrophysics at the Fudan University in Shanghai, where a small YouTube video on the Midway Islands completely transformed his life. That's how the initiative, the Midway Journey, began. And he has been working in the field of waste reduction and waste management in Guwahati ever since. So I hope I've covered all the points in the introduction, Shirshendu. And so I think without any delay, let's just dive into the questions, because I think we have a lot of questions that we want answered from you. Very exciting to have you on our series. So I'm going to go with question 1 straight away. So I heard that you gave up a PhD in astrophysics to start the Midway Journey. That's like incredible, yeah. That is, unbelievable actually, giving up a PhD to start something that you really believe in. So please tell me what, more about this. Like, what made you do this? What made you kind of, push aside your PhD and say, no, this is what I want to do?
So actually, around, as you already mentioned, I passed my master's in physics in 2015. So in 2017, actually, I got this opportunity to volunteer for a program in Guwahati called as Seeds of Hope. So I was a volunteer over there, and the program was all about sharing stories of individuals making a difference in the field of sustainability. So while volunteering there, I realized that I was speaking almost 7 days back to back to school students about the stories of people. But I realized that whatever I'm speaking, I don't follow in my own life. So there was a kind of reflection that started happening. And that was a phase where I was trying to get into my PhD. My specialization was astrophysics in my master's. So that was a moment I started, feeling a little confused that what I should go for. Is it astrophysics or is it something else that I want to do? And but finally, again, I failed in 17 entrance exams back to back, and finally cleared my GRE, TOEFL, and then went on to Shanghai. Uh, I got a project in my work in the field of astrophysics. But then I was back in Guwahati for a break vacation, and I was invited to talk on the World Environment Day on the theme Beat Plastic Pollution. So, and I didn't have much knowledge. So that's when I actually was trying on, Googling about more about plastic pollution. So that's when I saw this video on the Midway Islands where I saw uh, lakhs of birds dying every year by consuming plastic. So that was really a very heartbreaking moment for me. I saw the video early morning. It was around 5 a.m. on 5th of June, Environment Day. And then I had to give a seminar at around 10 a.m. Once the seminar was over, I just knew that within me, I just felt that this is not the end of a seminar, but the beginning of something big. And I came home, I gave myself little time. And by evening, I was sure that I have a problem in front of me. I came to know about it and I need to do something about it. I mean, I know it's a global problem and the Midway Islands is so far away from me. I didn't know it's happening also around me, but all that it gave me was like, okay, it's a problem and what will you do about it? So I was like, okay, I'll work on it. So that's the day I decided that I didn't know what to do basically. I didn't know I didn't have any plans about forming an organization or anything else that I just knew that I'll work towards it. So that's how it began. And gradually, of course, people helped. I got to learn from people and, over conversations and all. That's how the Midway journey as an entity began in the month of August or September in 2018.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, from astrophysics to waste management. Directly you want, dive into waste management. Brilliant, brilliant, that's really amazing. So, I've been following you on social media, and I've been, reading about your current initiatives. So one was the riverbank cleanup and the power of
Yeah.
300. So can you please elaborate a little bit on these two projects of yours?
Sure. For Riverbank Cleanup Drive, we started on 1st January of 2019. So the main reason was that in 2018, one point was when I started, initially there was a frustration that, okay, no one cares about it. Like in the city, I saw people littering here and there and the waste being dumped in a landfill openly. So there was a huge frustration that what should I do or where to begin? No one will listen. No one even pay heed to all these problems. But then I also saw the video of Afroz Shah. He's a lawyer in Mumbai who has been cleaning the Warsaw beach. And that really empowered me because I saw him alone, being a lawyer, going to clean a beach. And I felt that, okay, why not? Like we have the Brahmaputra flowing through Assam, through Guwahati. Why don't I start cleaning my own riverbank? So that was the beginning of this cleanup drive in 2019. So I just told two of my friends, they were like old friends of mine. I said that we gave a poster on social media and I said that, okay, maybe people won't come in. I don't know about the scene in Guwahati city, but at least we three are there. Koi agar nahi hai, to we three will start at least. It will happen for sure. That's how it began. And as I said, I never planned it. So the fact that it started every Sunday, that was not in the plan. So after the first January cleanup, there was a call from a news agency, okay, asking that they wanted to report what we did, and I said what we did, and then she asked me that, so again you are doing on next Sunday, right? And I think the fact that she asked me, and I started feeling that why not, like, so actually that question made me do it like every Sunday, to be honest. It was not my idea, but it was that reporter's question that led me to start it every Sunday. And very soon I realized in the riverbank cleanup that after cleaning, what do we generally do? We pack up in bags and we are again throwing in the dump site finally. So it's just like cleaning one place and dumping it in another place. Okay. So the special thing that happened was after 1 year of cleanup, when we understood the area, made good contacts with the locals, we started something called as a zero waste cleanup drive, which means whatever waste we pick up, we will manage it in the riverbank itself. So the wet waste, like the flowers and all from temples that were being thrown. So we started composting all the wet component, and the dry component we would manually wash the things so that they are in good conditions, and then we would segregate it into plastic, paper, and all different categories, metals, and we would we had a collab with the nearest scrap dealer of the area. They would buy all the things from us, or most of the times we would just donate it, kind of that at least our recycling mein dal do. It should not go to a landfill after this. So hardly anything, went to dustbins from the cleanup. And we also, with the non-recyclable part, we started making the eco bricks. So we could manage the entire eco bricks.
Okay.
It's something in the plastic bottles we stuff the materials. It acts as bricks. So from those we would make small furnitures like sitting spaces and all in the parks. Okay. So as a whole, so this was the specialty about our cleanups, that we could manage the waste. And so this happened after 1 year. Now we are in third year of our cleanups. So now what we did, we have started citizens training in our cleanups. So basically, why we do riverbank cleanup, we saw that when people are picking up things, they go through a sense of reflection. That if they're picking up a kurkure packet or Lay's, they are also eating it on the other times of the day. So we realized that this cleaning thing also helps us question ourselves, that am I not doing the same thing? Am I not the one actually throwing at the first place and I'm now picking it up? Okay, so that is a very important aspect. Second is, what we do is we teach people on composting, on recycling, citizens training, free cost to all the citizens, whoever is coming to the cleanup. And we also have once the cleanup is over, we have a meeting where we have conversations on zero waste lifestyle, where we call people to talk about how maybe one has shifted to cloth bags or maybe using reusable cutlery, so that it becomes a open discussion where people can put their points. So these are the various things that we do in the riverbank cleanup drive. That is one project that you just mentioned. Second is about Power of 300. So this idea came during the COVID lockdown in 2020, the first lockdown. So our Prime Minister had said that the poor people will be getting ration, right? Using ration cards and all, because at that time it was a great economic difficulty in the economic situation. So what we thought is that what we realized is many rag pickers in our city do not have the ration cards. They are below poverty line. They do not have ration cards, and hence they were not getting those facilities from the government. And we were also having Assam floods every year. We have this problem. So people were already, people lost jobs due to COVID, and they were giving money to help the flood victims. We thought that we cannot ask for more money to feed rag pickers now, because it's a pandemic situation. So what we thought, that can we do something from waste? Can we raise money from waste itself and use that money to feed the families of rag pickers? So that was the idea. We did little bit mathematical calculation, and we found out that if 300 people of the city start segregating waste, then with that, by selling that waste, we can run 5 families of rag pickers from that money. Okay, so 5 may be a small number, but 5 is something. So we started with that idea of this concept of Power of 300. Now, in 1 year, we have crossed 500 households already. So there are more than 510 households who participates in it. Participates means basically they have to segregate the waste at home, store it. Our team goes doorstep every month and collects it. And then we have 3 sorting centers in Guwahati. We take the waste, store it there, and then the waste is being segregated by rag pickers. And then we channelize it to recyclers and scrapulers. And that generates a kind of an income, okay, with which we can use it for social activities. So this is a power of 300 model that we are doing.
That's really brilliant. Yeah. In fact, I want to call it the power of one person standing up, literally, because it's that one person who stands up and then, inspires others to join him to make a difference. So I think that's brilliant. More power to you and your team, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So in fact, my next question was, I think you've answered most of what my next question was going to be, which was, I know that, you're addressing plastic waste, most of your initiatives are towards plastic waste. And, organic waste that comes out of households, statistics show that it's around 85% of organic waste comes out of households. So are you going to kind of do something, help people understand better how to kind of dispose of or compost their organic waste? Because I think composting will be the only thing, right, to kind of treat organic waste. Am I right?
Yeah, as household solutions, I believe composting is one of the most important thing people can do. Yeah, definitely a huge chunk of our daily waste is definitely our wet waste. So what we started doing in wet waste is that in our cleanups, as I have already mentioned, we started training the citizens, okay, on how to compost. So that was the first thing of hand-holding people to show what to do in their own home, other than cleaning the riverbank, right? The second thing was what we have recently started is called as a series called Tera Saath Na Chhodenge. So what we realized is that people start composting and then there is smell, and we live in apartment setup where neighbors are complaining that, oh, you should not do it here, you cannot do it here, okay? So people find it very difficult. Young people wants to do, then they say that, oh, my parents are not allowing me to do, outside in the terrace or something. So what we thought that, okay, a one-day webinar cannot solve this problem, or a one-day seminar where we can, really inspire people that, oh, aapko karna hai composting. They feel inspired, but ghar mein jaake, when they see all those other problems come in, they'll be like, okay, bahut ho gaya, I can't do this, right? So to tackle that issue, what we started is a 2-month program on composting, where we say that every Sunday we have a meeting. It's like a support group for people who are starting to compost. And we look on all the problems they face, not only the problem of composting or how to compost, even the social problems, even the smell or what are people telling you, any other problem. So we handhold them, we support them till their first batch of compost is completely ready. Okay. So that's why we have named it Tera Saath Na Chhodenge series. So we have started the first batch. We have just now completed today itself. We have completed that. So for a 2-month, our first batch, we thought of 15, 16 people in our first group, but we had 7 people to start with in the city. So nevertheless, any number is good for us, that we are also learning from our experience of what are the various problems people might face while composting. But yeah, we want to continue this. Every month we'll have new people joining in and we'll support them for 2 months for composting.
So I really like your tagline, Tera Saath Na Chhodenge. That's a really brilliant tagline, because, I completely agree with what you're saying. Because in a place like Bombay, so where I, compost my wet waste, there are a lot of issues even in my society saying that, it'll smell and it'll attract, rodents and whatever. So I think a support group like how you have, and somebody to handhold you, is a brilliant idea, especially in the cities where, most people stay in apartments and feel like, they can't compost. When actually you can keep, you can have your little gamlas in the corner in your balcony or somewhere out, and it is possible. So I think this like support group system is a brilliant idea. I think you should spread this idea around, because I know I've been trying to get people to compost in my society, and it's been a really uphill task. So I think I'm going to try your idea of support group and take your help to set up a support group. That's a brilliant idea. So
we even visit people's home. Like it was a COVID situation, so we avoided that. But
Hmm.
now the situation has improved a little bit. So now if people are facing problems, we are even ready to visit in their home and talk
Yeah.
about, even if they want us to talk to their family members about it. We are
Yeah.
okay for all kind of stuff.
No, that's a very nice thing you're doing, because nobody has actually addressed this part of composting. You know, it's
Hmm.
I know where I can get my supplies, I know how to compost, but there's other issues of, that arise when you start composting. I don't think anybody else has addressed those issues, like, your social issues or other things, other problems that arise. So I think that's a really good thing that you and your team are doing. And so yes, so now, in most metro cities, like, the authorities now tell you to segregate your waste, into wet and dry, and you have different colored bins for your wet and dry waste. So I just want you to share a little bit of why is it important to segregate. I know people know that they need to segregate, but still, the importance of why you need to segregate has not fully percolated, because even now, in supposedly posh buildings and all that, everybody just, dumps everything together. So that really, understanding why it's important to segregate. And also just wanted to know what happens, when your plastics, when you take away your plastics, and you move it, you keep them aside, how do you process them further? I think you said you some are reused, some are recycled. What exactly is the process? What happens to the plastics once they go?
So I think so. I'll try to answer the first question, first part of it initial first. So regarding why to segregate waste, right? So basically, if we see waste as a whole, whatever we are throwing in the dustbin, there are different types of it. One we call it as a wet waste or kitchen waste. Anything that's coming from the kitchen, we call it as a wet waste. And another part of it is we call it as a dry waste, where there are a lot of things, like there is plastic, there is paper, metals, hazardous substances like mercury, LED bulbs, we call it. We have electronic waste like batteries, cell phones, laptops, and all that coming in. So the thing is that now these things, to process these things, first step is to have these things differently. Like if we can imagine various industries who are working to process this waste, we have different kinds of industries. One will be tackling wet waste, one will be tackling metals recycling, one will be doing plastic recycling, one will be doing paper recycling. So when we are mixing up the waste, it's impossible for this waste to reach to these industries because we are mixing it up. And because the wet waste, especially the food, is decomposing, right? It's an exothermic process, and there is a smell that comes out, because of which even the rack pickers, definitely they do not want to touch those things. It smells so bad. So finally, the only thing that happens to is it's picked up and finally it's thrown into the landfill sites. So the dump site. Finally, if you see today, like situation in Guwahati, so our old dump site has been closed by the NGT order, okay, by the National Green Tribunal. So the municipality has been searching for new dump sites, right? Because the municipality says that the entire city is generating, our city is now generating almost 700 tons of waste per day, okay, which means almost 7 lakh kilos of waste. Okay, now where will that go? Because no one is segregating it. So it has to be sent to a landfill or a dump site. To do dumping, we need an area, and most of the areas we have people living right now, right? The human population is increasing. So our city has been seeing unprecedented protests, civilian protests. We have never seen such protests before for dump sites. Presently, people are not allowing the municipality to create a dump site anywhere, which is actually in a way good for waste management, because now the municipality is under pressure to create a system to manage the waste. But again, I feel that it's not just the municipality's responsibility, it's a responsibility of the people to segregate the waste at the very first place. Because if we do not do it, then no technology or no municipality can do any solutions to it. In 2016, the present government came out with the rules called the Municipal Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016. The first rule says that waste generator has to segregate waste into 3 parts. biodegradable, non-biodegradable, and hazardous waste.
Okay.
So that's a very first thing, because we complain a lot that the government is not doing, municipality is not doing, but the first rule is talking about us. It's us only, that what we need to do. So I think we need to start with ourselves at our home to segregate the waste. Otherwise, it's impossible. No, there is no technology presently which will segregate waste on our behalf and then will send to recycling. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So we have to start with that. That is the that's my response to your question on why waste segregation is important, as you say. Regarding the plastics, so in plastics, there are categories. When I started, I thought that, oh, plastic is bad, it should be stopped. But then I realized that, oh, there are 7 categories, 7 different types of plastic itself. And now in Guwahati, there are kind of 8 recycling plants only for different kinds of plastic. So some kinds of plastic goes to one recycling center, some goes to different recycling center. Okay. So what we do basically is that in Guwahati, we do not have the facility to recycle all plastics. Certain plastics get recycled locally. Some are channelized to places like Siliguri in West Bengal or Delhi. You know, it goes because the facilities are over there for recycling those. So we have tied up with the local recyclers here. Whatever gets recycled here, we collect under Power of 300 campaign, and we are directly giving it to the local recyclers. But the other part, which doesn't get recycled, we are selling it to the scrap dealers because they have ample area to store this waste, and they are sending it to the recycling stations outside our state. That's how we are managing the plastic waste right now.
So that's interesting, because I didn't know that there were so many categories for plastics also. You know, you kind of think that plastic ka to ek hi category hai, everything goes into that, you know, bucket kind of a thing. So yeah, this is a very
for households, it's fine. We need not segregate it further, like type 1, type 2, because it's not possible for us.
Right.
So that work, as I told you initially, we have 3 sorting centers in Guwahati. So the government says segregate in 3 parts, right, at home. But what do we collect? We collect only one of that is a non-biodegradable or the recyclable part. We take that in our sorting, and we have segregated into 25 categories further inside our sorting centers.
Okay.
So those are done by the rack pickers have the best knowledge on how to do that. That's their job. That's how they run their families, by doing that job. So citizens need not do so deep segregation. Even 3-part segregation is good enough to start with.
Okay. That's great. That's great. So, you know, ever since you started your river cleanup, riverbank cleanup, or Project 300, have you observed a change in the mindset of the people? Has there been a change in their attitude now? Or are they more conscious of their choices? Or, you know, have you witnessed anything like that?
Yeah.
Shift
there is a huge change. To be honest, I didn't do it like my team. We did not do it deliberately, thinking that hame logo mein change lana hai. But then what we have seen is that after doing riverbank cleanups, I told you about the reflection that people have. You know, that who is creating the waste at the first place? Okay, we are cleaning the riverbank, but who is throwing it? How is the waste coming here at the very first place, right? So we have been holding these kind of discussions, first of all. Secondly, what we did is, we took people to dump sites for field visit. So we do this something called silent visits. So we do educational trips with people from all age groups. We take them to our dump sites and we tell them that we will not talk in the dump site. Just experience it, because they smell. There is, you see rack pickers without shoes and all going on those hills of waste where there are needles, syringes and all. They might not have even gloves to do that. You see children all around doing the work. You see animals like cows and all eating all the plastics over there. So we know that when people see this, they need time to sink in, that, okay, means how am I responsible also for this problem? It's not just a government failure. It is one of that, but also how I have not been paying heed to this issue. So by doing this repeatedly, And we have not been taking people only to dump sites just to show them a grim picture. We have also taken them to recycling facilities where they see that how different kind of things are getting recycled, how is generating jobs for so many people. So they see the problem and also the solution. And then we say them that it's in your hands now. Which part do you choose finally, right? So I have seen that the people mainly have reduced their waste a lot because many of our volunteers, we have 300 plus volunteers in Guwahati. Most of them hardly use any single-use plastic. I'll say, I won't say zero use because there are certain things we can't avoid. But most of the people are, taking their cutlery in their bags. They carry a straw, a tumbler, bati kind of things. We love pani puri and all that stuff, momos. So basically, if we are going for street food, we carry our cutlery. We don't use any thermocol and all that single-use stuff that's being given to us. And secondly is this power of 300 as, because initially people used to complain that, okay, I segregate waste, but what does the municipality do? They collect doorstep and then they put everything together, in the storage. So what is my use of segregating waste? And then we started Power of 300. We said that, okay, no more excuses. Now we are coming to your home to collect your segregated waste, right? So even now, as I said, more than 500 households in Guwahati, they not only segregate waste, they clean their stings also. There is no smell at all when we collect the waste from them. It's a very dignified job. And even the people who are working with us are very happy because our godowns are inside community areas. And people have given our rooms. I didn't tell that before. The rooms, the godowns as we are calling, no one charges anything from us. These have been donated to us for working by our volunteers. So that's an amazing help we have got. So I see that people are now becoming more aware of waste as an issue. People are reusing more stuff, and thirdly, as I say, people are segregating. Like I never thought that without any penalty from the municipality, without any policy changes, also the citizens can act on themselves. So that is something that I wished always it happens, like movie mein hota hai, but then I did not know that in real world also people will do it. And I'm really inspired by the efforts taken by the people.
So I think this is so brilliant, that, the people are getting aware, people are wanting to make a change. And I was just thinking just now that it will be so nice if the work that people like you and your organization do are even showcased at schools, because kids, are so receptive. Children are so receptive to, ideas like these, and they're the ones who are like sponges. And, many times kids educate their parents, on what it is all about and how you need to reuse and recycle. So tell me one thing, what does where does the Midway journey go from here? What is your vision for the road ahead? Do you want to take this message out to, across the country? What are your plans, from here?
So the plan overall is, first of all, that we have realized is to scale up this idea of waste segregation in the city, because there's a lot of lack of awareness among the people. It's not that people don't want to do it. There's lack of awareness. There's lack of motivation. So we are filling those gaps. Because if I'll give an example. If you see now cities like Bangalore, I don't know much about Mumbai, but there is Indore and many other examples, which are Mysore and LP in South India. They're doing amazing work in the field of waste management. So if we go deeply, we see that it's not because that suddenly a municipal commissioner came and said that we have to solve the problem, or suddenly the citizens felt that we are the heroes and we can change everything. It's because the main reason is because a stage comes where you don't find any more land to dump your waste. And you don't have anything else to do but to manage it, and now we are going towards that. Guwahati, I told about the protests going on in Guwahati city for the last 3 months. So now we have realized that we are going towards that, where one day the municipality will have no other option but to put penalty, make segregation compulsion, And that day, the common people will suffer. Because they will say that हमें already इतने काम है, and now you are saying that, oh, ये नहीं करो तो penalty, वो नहीं करो तो penalty. So what we are doing as a group is we are doing our transition from today where there is no management to the day when the government will have no option but to be completely strict. We are being a group who being a transition, talking to people before any sort of bans come in. We are talking to people about the importance of it. When we had this plastic ban, single-use plastic, many people in Maharashtra said that the government is doing against the people because the common people use the polythene bags and the government banned it. So the people thought that it's an anti-people thing that the government is doing. So it's because the government did not do the right kind of awareness before coming up with a blanket ban. Suddenly, if a ban comes, people will not understand why it's important or why it's needed. So we feel that whatever time we have right now, we are working with the people, trying to make them understand, Secondly is also, we feel very important what we are looking at is to formalize the informal sector. So for so many days, who are actually keeping our cities clean? Is the rag pickers, the scrap dealers, who really face a lot of social issues in city like untouchability and many other, people from lower caste are doing this work. So what we are trying to do through programs like Power of 300 is to create better jobs. We question that why will a rag picker go into a drain to collect your waste, right? If you give to me at the doorstep, we ensure that the rag picker collects the waste from your doorstep and segregates in an office under the fan, in lights, just like anyone is working in another office with proper uniforms, proper gears. That is, we have a dream to formalize the entire waste sector starting from Guwahati. Many organizations are working in different parts of India already into this. Thirdly, one of our major aim is to work on waste reduction. Whenever there is talk on waste management, if you see, people just say, "Aap segregate karo, recycle ho jayega." Okay, so, but in a school time, we read about the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, right? There is a reason why we do not tell it as recycle, reuse, and reduce. There's a reason. So reduce is the basic thing to be done, not recycle. So we are having a lot of campaigns towards how we can reduce by taking our cloth bags, taking our water bottles, taking our own cutlery. Segregation, recycling baad mein aayega. Why to generate so much waste at the very first place, which our municipality can't handle? So we are working on that through various programs, and basically one of our final bigger project is something called climate crisis communication, because recently this IPCC came out with the 6th assessment report where it talks about how we are going towards 1.5 degree just by maybe 2030 itself. So we believe as a group that this problem is mainly because there's lack of communication. We really are very hopeful. We don't feel that people are meant to do bad things or lead an unsustainable lifestyle. We feel that people don't know what to do to tackle this. People don't know that the power is in their hands to make a change, to make a difference, right? So we feel that if we can communicate it with easy language, not with hi-fi research papers and all, if we can work with scientists, lawyers, make things easy for the common people to understand about their rights and responsibilities towards environment, I believe that things will transform definitely. And we are already seeing that happening in the waste sector in Guwahati right now. So we wish to take it to the other sectors of climate change as well, at least in the part of communicating it to the people. Yeah.
So that's brilliant. And in fact, you have just refreshed this thing in my mind of, reduce comes first. Reduce comes first, followed by reuse and recycle. And I think traditionally Indians, we were actually people who used to recycle a lot, no? That's traditionally, I mean, ours was not generally a use and throw kind of,
Yes.
We were not engaging in use and throw so much. Ours more of a, fixing, mending, recycling, upcycling kind of environment.
Exactly.
I think we need to go back to that, you know,
Yeah, I think that once the realization comes in, I guess it will
yeah,
be a natural process.
yeah,
That's what has happened to me, and I'm no one special. I'm just like any other person. So if it happens with me, I'm sure it can happen with any other person.
yeah. No, brilliant, brilliant work. So now, we all are aware of the UN's SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So
Yeah.
which one of these goals are you, most aligned with? Which one of these
So
goals?
yeah,
Yeah.
since I forget the names of these goals, I had just written in my diary so that I remember while speaking to you maybe about this. So the few goals with which we are working is, the first is gender equality, because in the waste sector, the men and women are not paid equally.
Oh,
People who are working in the informal sector. So we have changed that. For the people who are working with us, we pay equally to both men and women. That is one. Second is the decent work. That is a goal 8, decent work and economic growth. Because when we are converting a linear economy, use it and throw it,
right,
to a circular economy where you use and sort, send for processing and reuse. So this creates more job, and these are dignified job. People don't have to pick up things from drains or unhealthy conditions.
right.
So in this way, we are creating more dignified jobs, which is the goal number 8. Towards goal number 10 that we are working is to reduce the inequalities in the sector of waste. So the rag pickers are the ones who make our cities clean, but they earn the least because
Right.
they're exploited. Okay, because they're not paid for the items that they collect. They're not paid the right amount. They can collect bottles from the roads and they sell it. They're given some maybe 10, 11 rupees, whereas the actual cost of those bottles per kilo maybe 35 rupees. And they don't know. They don't have the awareness that they should be paid higher. So what we are doing right now in Parak Synod is also to pay them the right price for the things they're getting in. Okay, so this, in a way, we are reducing the inequalities that exist in the waste sector itself. Okay, then we are going naturally towards goal 11.
Can't hear you. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yes, can hear you now.
So we are also going towards goal 11, that is the sustainable cities and communities. So waste management is inherent part of this thing. To have a city sustainable and to make communities sustainable, waste needs to be managed in a decentralized manner. Also goal 12, that is responsible consumption and production. I have already told you how we are working this with the citizens, right now on about responsible consumption. And we hope to work with corporates and companies also on the sector of responsible production in future. Okay. Definitely goal 14 comes because we are doing cleanup drives. So goal 14, that is life underwater. So we are trying to transform that situation in Guwahati, that the waste that's being thrown in the riverbank, that's definitely affecting the life underwater for the marine animals. So by cleaning it, every weekend, I guess we are somehow making, even if small, but an impact towards transforming the life underwater. And goal 13 and 15 included, that is a climate action, because if we are not managing our waste properly, then we are actually leading to producing greenhouse gases, because there is a lot of methane emissions from the waste decomposition, the wet waste decomposition. So segregating waste, composting, recycling reduces the amount of the carbon footprint in our own lives.
Right.
And goal 15, that is life in land. So right now we are in collaborating with many organizations who organize hikes, to the so Assam, full of forest, amazing places we have in this part of the country. So but people come and litter the entire wildlife places and all, which affects the wildlife, affects the ecology of the area. So right now we are working with few groups who organize hikes, and we clean up these areas. We segregate the waste and for recycling and all that stuff we are doing, trying to clean up our picnic areas, if you can say. So so these are the goals we are working towards. And I guess the sustainable development goals are very much interconnected. I
Yes.
told about so many goals. It's mainly, maybe we are working in 3-4 projects, but all these goals are so interrelated that we feel that we are touching all these components of the sustainable development goals.
I was just going to say that under that one umbrella of waste, so many things are
Yeah.
covered. So many of the SDGs
Yes.
are covered. So they're like completely, like you said, they're totally interlinked. So,
Yes.
yeah, so brilliant work that again, that you guys are doing, and so we all know about the consequences of environmental destruction and haphazard development, whether it's landfills overflowing with plastic or whether it's polluted oceans. So everybody knows the consequences of not basically of climate change and global warming. So what message would you have for the youth of our country, like like a wake up call to say, like we've wasted enough time, it's we need to kind of move into action? What would be a message that you would want to give the youth of the country? And also maybe what could we do as an individual citizen, wanting to make a difference? Where can we start? Like if you tell me, like carry cloth bags or make eco bricks, so is that some place that can be like a starting point to going further? But just one thing, so that we can really, people watching this video can take back one tip and implement it immediately, so that we can set the ball rolling, kind of a thing.
I feel that the first thing that people needs to do is, I won't directly go into the action we are doing, maybe a lot of projects and all we are doing, because there's so many groups doing so many projects all over the world, still we don't really see things really changing for the better as of now, if we see. So I think the main reason, I believe, which if we all can reflect a little bit, I feel is that uh, the narrative is wrong. I feel we are all talking about saving our planet. We are talking about saving nature, whereas we forget that we are nature, right? Means it's not that nature is another person and I have to save that person, right? So basically, we are now talking about climate change. We say that sea levels are rising, right? And the Indian climate change assessment report says cities like Mumbai, Kolkata, these will be underwater, okay, by 2050 and all. So who is it going to harm actually? Is it just that the seas are rising? Is that we will be displaced, okay,
Right.
completely, if these things are happening? We have been facing 7-8 cyclones every year now, okay, because of the climate change. The droughts are affecting agriculture, which is affecting the food that we are eating at the end of the day. So I feel that if we cannot connect the problem to our lives to start with, why should we care? It's not about just an Instagram picture of me cleaning the riverbank and getting 1,000 likes on it.
Right.
Means, which unfortunately is happening a lot. Thing is that if we cannot connect to ourselves, that it's me losing. If what if people are saying 1.5-degree rise, 2-degree rise, we should not have this should not happen. I think we need to start with, what if it happens?
Right.
Let's imagine it has happened. So
Right.
what? How does it affect my life? So I think if I believe in this kind of change, where people start with talking to with themselves and convincing themselves that yes, this is a thing that I should work on. Because environment, I really don't like when people call me an environmentalist,
Mm.
because when I'm called as an environmentalist, it suddenly becomes my job to work on the environment,
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
it's actually everyone's job. So
Absolutely.
unlike maybe a doctor has a specialized field, a policeman has a specialized field, a scientist has a specialized field. Everyone cannot be a policeman or a scientist or any other thing. But environmentalist is, I feel, as such a term that everyone needs to relate to. And if I, in easy words, why so? Why to? I'll say to save your own life. It's
Yeah.
just that I want to be alive. To be honest, I want to be alive. And to be alive, I have to work to keep the environment in a condition that I can be alive. Because, I gave this example to students that if we boil water, right now we have what kind of water we use? We use AquaGuard, we use RO, but earlier we used to boil water and have it. So why did it really change? Because scientifically we found that even after boiling water, there are certain viruses that exist. And I'll say that means there is life that exists above 100 degrees Celsius. Right. So now we have shifted to AquaGuard and RO, that because we don't want those germs and all. Okay. But the fact that life can exist over 100 degrees centigrade. Right now, we are unable to bear temperatures above 40 degrees centigrade. Okay, we feel like, oh, people are dying in drought, people are dying in heat waves, but nature will exist. Like there will be life after 50 degree, after 60 degree, there will be life. So whatever we are trying to contain today, it's because we want to be alive. At 100 degree, we can't exist, but life will still be there. We need not, when I tell people that don't think about nature, nature will be there, environment will be there, you will not be there, and I will not be there. So let's save ourselves. Yeah.
I think that's such a brilliant message that you have, just shared, because that's just bang on. Because when you said about people calling an environmentalist, somewhere I feel when you look at person, okay, he's an environmentalist, you've shrugged off the responsibility and said, "Uska responsibility hai, wo sambhalega." It becomes more of that type, and I really liked your message that, if I want to stay alive, I need to, make the right choices. As simple as that. So thank you, Shirshendu. This was a wonderful, wonderful chat with you, and I have learned so much as well. And it's amazing the work that you're doing. And like I said, it's the power of one. I feel the power of one person standing up and deciding to make a change. And that's when, people want to also join in. But it has to start with one person standing up, wanting to make that change. So I'm going to rename your thing "Power of One." And so
if I just one thing I just want to mention, I didn't mention throughout the session, maybe that I have really got an amazing team who are working with me in Guwahati. Means it's not actually me alone. Without the support of the 7 other people in my team, all this that I've been doing, and even the realizations I had in my life, it's through the conversations we as a team have almost on a daily basis. So really, my team has 2 architects. The team has, as young people who have just passed out from class 12. So very passionate people. I'm lucky to have met these amazing people in my life. And because of whom I think I'm able to continue and keep myself motivated and inspired in my journey. So yeah.
Superb. So I want to end with one line. I had written this line because, like I said, it starts with one person, standing up and taking a stand. So, I have this line which says, alone we make a difference, together we create an impact. I think that's what you did. You stood up, and then you have a great team alongside with you, and that's when you can make an impact. That's when you can really kind of see things moving, really see people kind of wanting to make a difference, coming together and wanting to make a difference, for the betterment of society, betterment of our whole world, the environment, and everything else. So Shirshendu, thank you very, very much. I know how busy you are, and still you managed to take out time to do this chat with us. So thank you so much. It was really fantastic talking to you. I've learned a lot, and I'm definitely going to implement many of the points that you've shared on this chat. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much to you, to Mrs. Orbit team, for giving me this opportunity. And it was really nice, chatting with you. Thank you.
So we look forward to having you again.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.